The news is out. Grayscale has decided that they're going to go ahead and open up. They're planning to drafting out Caspa ETF. And this is underlining the concept that we've been saying over and over again, directly from the art of war. These guys at the top level, they don't play.
Every battle is won before it's ever fought.
They've already laid the groundwork out for Caspa to take over and step up. And in today's video, we're going to break down ways that we can connect these larger players to Caspa, how we've been doing this over the past year. Every trader should have a copy of this book, The Art of War. When you're taking a moment to reflect, you can just open up to any page, read some of the wisdom, and apply it directly to what's going on. Inside of our VIP group, there has been a very strange anomaly, as once again, the projects that we're talking about, the projects that we're covering, are leading the entire market. What's going on right now in the Caspa community? Everybody's talking about meme coins, and right now there's been some massive upside on Turbo, Hoppy. But when we actually look, these are the top 100 best performing projects over the past 30 days. And we can see the projects that we have detailed 24-point reports on, the projects inside our watch lists are actually doing better than meme coins. Now, there's nothing wrong with trading meme coins. And for guys who have to work overtime hours, let's say you're like, dude, I'm working 2 jobs just to get a huge bag of crypto for this up and coming bull run. For me, meme coins are quick and easy. You understand the concept of the greater fool and how they're a thermometer for market participation. Keep this in mind. When the peaks actually happen on your meme coin bags, those gains are going to be very fleeting. So while it's without a doubt a very fun rocket ship to ride the meme coin wave to the upside, we've also got to factor in realizing those gains. Meanwhile, meme coin traders often utilize a tactic method strategy of almost like a spread it out, diversified bag. We're going to grab a handful of meme coins, knowing one of them is going to supersonic Nova. When if we have the time, and what this comes down to is laziness. Instead of watching the Penguin new series, instead of watching The Lord of the Rings on Amazon, we can focus in and start grinding out and study. And I know exactly what you guys are thinking right now. Dude, I've been studying. It's difficult to find a guide that connects you into what to research. Our VIP group, we're coming up with the top hits, crushing it. And this isn't just a one-off. This has been happening again and again, over and over again. One of our secrets is we trade around the FOMC meetings because this is when the big dogs step up. This is why DeFi and artificial intelligence just took a massive leg to the upside. So what we're seeing here is the top gainers. This is out of 10,000 projects. So you're going to get some bangers like Nero, this dog coin meme. All of these top ones are meme coins. We actually chatted about this inside the Discord one time. It was this, and we were talking about Mishi. So the top 10, 15, they're all meme coins. Once we start getting past the meme coin phenomenon, we start getting into our 24-point checklist on 0-1. This, from tip to toe of the breakout, even if you go back to the BOJ absolute lowest end, has beat all of Turbo, Hoppy. It's got more upside. Now, keeping in mind, as we fast forward into the peak of the bull run, because this is a project with use case, we're going to have a much larger opportunity to take profit. Because when you look at Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, they're very similar to XRP. They just had this massive spike, and that's representing a fraction of people. Buying is the easy part. Selling is difficult. And so often when people create their portfolio, we are oversighting what's going to happen in the future. We're just like, dude, as long as it goes up, I know I'll be there for myself. And this is where even Alex Becker's constantly saying, Dude, I messed up when I was selling. Well, which is another pick that we've had inside our watch list in VIP. We recently did an add-on right here around the 30-cent range. 50% gains since the add-on. If you take this from tip to toe right around the FOMC meeting, it's a 500% bagger. So even more upside than DEAI. So this top 100 list is peppered with projects that we cover inside our group because we use the exact same secret that we use to connect Caspa to these big dogs. The guys that are pulling the strings to make Grayscale take place. And a lot of this is coming down to the KII. In yesterday's video, we covered their ISO 222 compliance. This is going to put them head to head with XRP. They're going to be allowed to do bank-to-bank transfers, but this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of stuff coming up in the horizon in the financial world. As we know, Satoshi created Bitcoin and this world of crypto as a way for us to fight against the fiat system, which we know is going to self-destruct in a matter of time. And when it does, now is when we're talking about the privatization of the dollar. Instead of it being listed by the Fed, imagine JP Morgan is the ones that are issuing the dollars for everybody. This can lead to censorship. Just like on Facebook, you're not allowed to have free speech because it's a private company. With the privatization of the dollar, you're looking at being debanked. Oh, you can't spend your money in these stores. You can't buy a Rolex watch because you have a bad citizen score. Exactly like they're doing overseas in China. Caspa and the KII with Gigawatt, this is permissionless, which means we cannot be censored. Believe it or not everybody that's on the top of the pyramid is a bad guy. A lot of these guys are looking out for public interest. So we've got to keep all these factors calculated in. Looking at the big picture. So the real crutch that's been taking place for Caspa over the past year, and that's going to even beef up substantially after the rate cuts go down. The reason why right now it's DeFi and AI that have been rocketing up to the moon. One of our secrets that we've been using, because this phenomenon we're coming up with, we've got a bunch of our projects. We actually have the #1 performer for everybody online. Nobody picked any of these out. This weren't their shining stars. Of course, Hoppy, very close. This is a meme coin. This is a real project. One of our secrets has been using artificial intelligence to vet crypto. You remember how Caspa, during the KRC20 launch, everybody was thinking, oh, this is going to be super bullish. We were the only channel in all of crypto that, of course, came up with the short, realizing Caspa was going to bounce directly off of there. We had loads of posts, extremely in advance. And part of this is built on the GPT-4 trading model. Here's the thing. They built artificial intelligence to do what? Do you guys understand the concepts of what GPT-4, Super Chat GPT, is all about? It's a code that predicts the next character. That's all it does. So as you're stringing letters together, it has the entire internet, an enormous source of English language, the human dialogue, and it predicts what character will come next. Therefore, artificial intelligence is the most superpowered crystal ball we have. And it's actually correctly predicting the incoming characters in a sentence. Therefore, as we start to hone this in, just like a carpenter, their master tools are the hammer and a saw. The cowboy, it's their six slinger. The plumber, like Mario Brothers, it's their wrench. Our tool is AI. We've got to realize how to use AI to help us build fundamental research, market sentiment, and go from that. And this is something that we have managed learning systems and standard operating procedures for inside of VIP. This is how we've been crushing it. After the BOJ, we came up with the #1 swing trade and loads of other ones that were in the top 10, top 20. It's just been happening over and over again. AI is super powerful. And knowing this, these corporations are pig piling in to get more cash. What we're looking at right now is a link to some of the 24-point reports, and inside of our watch list, we're talking about the DePIN sector, closely related to artificial intelligence. All kinds of projects from Tau, Akash, Helium. They're all the different sectors of DePIN, including artificial intelligence, which is going to be a banger. A lot of us can recognize these different coins here. People are loading up into A5. This is like a huge 50-page article. And something that I wanted to cover was Clore AI. This is something from our watch list that has a potential to go supersonic. You guys remember when Akash had a massive leg to the upside? The reason this happened, there was a catalyst that almost nobody was aware of. So Akash is like a GPU renting, right? Computational relocating device. There's loads of projects like that, including Clore AI. They had it set up for an arbitrage mining opportunity on another project called Zeph. So everybody's mining Zeph on the Akash network, making bank, and it causes Akash's price to go supersonic. As they start developing the top layer into this bull run, there'll be more opportunities for these AI niche computational transaction projects like Clore AI. And so keep your ears open. That's something we're doing in VIP for arbitrage in this sector. So yeah, the Fed cut rates and they released their plan to hold the rate cuts down into 2026, 2027. This is guaranteeing a bull run and a distribution phase, which is why AI just suddenly rallied. And alongside it, DeFi. Owning DeFi is almost identical to owning an entire bag, like an ETF of meme coins. Keep this in mind. That's why we really think Moonwell is a strong pick on the base network. You're getting exposure to all of that stuff. Super big. This Greyscale news is game-changing, and it's going to start coming as the catalysts for Caspa are unfolding, beginning with Q1. This date has been set previously. That's when they're going to do the 10 BPS upgrade, launching the Crescendo, and this is running parallel simultaneously with the end of rate cuts. Now, we've already covered in detail how every time the Fed starts cutting rates, it's actually bearish. This is completely the opposite of what you would think when you hear, well, rate cuts are super bullish, but in fact, it's a time release factor. And remember, this is showing fundamental weaknesses in the economy as a whole. This is something that we incorporate deeply inside of our VIP, all the way down to, so this is the bond chart market. And what we're looking at here is an actual bond auction. The way that this works is as they're cutting rates, they're forcing cash out of bonds into these projects because there's more data that the rates are going to stay down lower. That means the money's going to be on the street for a longer period of time. That means projects that need that injection of cash to start growing on top of, they're going to have a massive influx. And this is obviously DeFi. As the bull run's going on, DeFi is a massive leader, as well as artificial intelligence. The longer that bull run lasts, the better it is for Tau and all of these AI type of picks. We've actually gotten to the point where we're combing through paperwork, putting together a paper trail of when the bond auctions are taking place, counting up all the money, and then factoring it in. The last one was here, the one we're looking at, August 26th. As you can see on those bond market charts, that's when all the dates was. They're auctioning bonds here, and this tells us immediately massive downside on the total 3. Zooming out, you can see this falling wedge pattern. It's the exact identical trend lines, and this is the repeating trend line system. There's a lot of people that go out there and they do good technical analysis, but they do it naked. They don't put fundamentals to it, and this is because of the underlying issue with crypto content and just general understanding for crypto. Because of the monetary policy last cycle, nobody was paying attention to it in the world of crypto. In the last Fed meeting, they actually talked about this. They said, what are we going to do about the generation that only knows about free money? When are we going to teach these kids how to really trade? And Powell was like, oh, they're going to learn. Because the last cycle, the Fed has the money printer on going brr. They're just throwing cash out into the world. Meanwhile, the entire bond market not only takes a massive drastic cut after lockdowns, they chopped 1.5 points on instantly. And this is up and coming because the bull market isn't even fully shaped out right now. Anyone who's telling you that they have an accurate price prediction for anything, you can get a range and an idea of what's going to happen, but until the Fed makes their move in Q1 of 2025, we won't have all the puzzle pieces that are going to show us what's about to happen. The central banks and the investment banking class have been working hand in hand at this round table of poker, basically to cheat retail. But we're going to let them do this. We're like, yeah, you guys have at it because we already know their signals. Just like when you're at a poker game and you know, dude, every time this guy's going to raise, he's signaling his partner by putting on sunglasses. We know their signals. So we're like, yeah, you guys go ahead and try to cheat us because we're not going down. We're actually going to double that back and it's going to blow up in your face because we know all about these bond signals. Like once they start raising rates in 2026, that's time to pull the ripcord. As you can see clearly here, right around November, December, that's when the Fed starts upping their rates. That's their cattle call to everybody like Jane Street, BlackRock. They're saying, get your cash out. And there you go, November. And this is, people will say, well, that's because of the Bitcoin halving. It's the exact same thing on the NASDAQ. The Bitcoin peak was the exact same top of Tesla. And it's all because of the bond market. Nobody that's doing crypto really knows this from last cycle because it was just on warp drive. So this is something that we focus on inside of VIP. This is why we've had such amazing success, like uncanny results. We're crushing even the best of the best meme coins, and we're doing it with real picks. And obviously we focus in on less picks. I've got a 3-bagger, Caspa, Spectral, and DEAI. Like to build that into a 4-bagger later with one of our GameFi projects, but using these secrets that we know between the market makers and the investment bankers, GameFi will be peaking later. So we don't have to build on it right now. Plus, the GameFi pick that we've selected, the leading gem, it's not even on the exchanges yet. Here we go. This is an excellent question. Yes. So what this guy is asking is to summarize what's going on with rate cuts. First, let's zoom out. And I'm glad that you asked this. Bonds are the source of all cash. So if the government's going to build an aircraft carrier, a hospital, or a highway, they're going to print bonds to do it. You can go to college and study this for 8 years. That's how deep the rabbit hole goes. And what we're looking at here is how much yield they're offering. As we know, since Richard Nixon was in office, they decorrelated the fiat system from gold because they wanted to print money to pay off France. So they said, oh yeah, well, all we owe you in our contract is USD. So guess what? We're looking at the paperwork. We're just going to print a bunch of USD and pay you because we don't want to give you our gold. And they were like, oh, thanks. And then everybody's like, well, if the US is going to do it, we're all going to do it. And thus entered this fiat system, which is destined to collapse. Third world countries who abused it, boom, their markets explode. Back on track. What we're looking at here is how much the central banks, the federal government, is offering the investment banking class. You could be a super rich guy and do this too, but we're talking about the Jane Streets, the Black Rocks, the big dogs at the table playing poker with us. It's retail, crypto teams, the central banks, and then the investment banking class. And these guys are in cahoots, big time, signaling each other and everything, looking to take the rest of us out. But we're on to their game. And this is what I'm showing you right now. So when Satoshi designed Bitcoin, there's rumors, and if you ask artificial intelligence, who is Satoshi, it will tell you it's Alan Greenspan, who is the former head of the FOMC. Now, the reason why they say that, it's likely a team of people led by Alan Greenspan. Because when he constructed Bitcoin, looking at the chart, do you think it's a coincidence that the last time the Fed was cutting rates was 4 years ago? This is the last rate cut cycle from here to here. And then we've got the halving was here. Now, this cycle, the Fed is notably late. You might have seen some stock market posts flashing across your screen a couple weeks ago. The FOMC is late to rate cuts. So what's happening here, just to clean this up, we've got the halving event here and now the rate cut cycle, but they're still close enough so you can see Satoshi's vision. As that restricts the supply for Bitcoin, Satoshi knows that these bond markets, he knows this is called the global liquidity cycle. I'm going to have to bring up a new document here, because this is a worldwide thing. As you guys remember from the Bank of Japan carry trade, China just stimulated their economy. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's on this fiat system. And very similar to the FOMC's calendars, they're all running the same ball game. It's almost like they're all, in cahoots. So what we're seeing here is the global liquidity cycle. This has nothing to do with crypto. This is an economics 101 chart. And as light bulbs go off, remember, I'm leaving you guys a bread trails crumb into VIP where we go into more details and show how to make money off of this, which is what we've been doing, which is why all of our picks are so good. This is the difference between winning and becoming the grand champion. You're seeing this is the global liquidity. Nothing to do with crypto, this chart. And as you can see, during the last market top, it was high. What this is signaling is all the money from the bonds is out on the streets, stimulating the economy. Because they printed so much cash, they're holding it like a monopoly banker to try to make sure inflation isn't actually working because we're holding all that money that we printed. But every so often, because they're holding it, the system's starting to fiend for money now. And what's going to happen is the labor market's going to go down. Bad things are going to happen. People are going to lose their jobs. It's going to become a total nightmare. That's why they're always looking into that type of data on television, because everybody is trying to correlate what the central banks are going to do. This isn't some niche technique that I've thought of, like the entire world of finance is doing this. This is finance 101. As laymen, they don't want us to know about this at all. They're like, GameStop was all about the short squeeze. Bitcoin's all about the halving. The narrative is just to keep you away from this because they're trying to cheat us with this system. So we're bringing it into the light here. Anyway, right now, because this is so down, this is showing all the cash is in the bonds. And this is the 1-year treasury. To show you an example from the last halving cycle, you can see right here, February 20th, 2020. This is the 1-year treasury bonds. So what we're looking at here, this is February 20th, 2021, 1 year later. So they cut the rates here. 1 year later, as that liquidity, right? So it was all packed in here. Then they start cutting rates and it all gets on the street. As this bubble deflates, and then here's where it's all zero interest rates until they start hiking it up. That's exactly when the collapse starts. Like literally all the way to here when we make a new local high. That's the Terra Luna FTX debacle. So they're always in the narrative trying to hide this, saying, oh, it was Sam Bankman-Fried. They're just using him as the cover story. It's the bond markets. He was just a casualty that went along the way. You know what I mean? So right now they're in the rate cut cycle, and the Fed is going to take 1 more point off of this bubble in 2025. It will make the investing world's life so much easier if the Fed does this quick in Q1, because we'll have a more definitive map for when this cash is going to hit the market. And then because they're planning on, like here, this is the distribution phase. So this entire timeline, looking on the total 3, which relies way more heavily on distribution, altcoins get an injection of cash and then they start growing. This is the distribution phase. That's the run up February 20th, 1 year after. Looking at, let's say, AVAX, Phantom is another great example of this. There's that date, February 20th, the run up. They actually had a massive sell-off. And then right here, after that injection of cash went in, that's when they start building on chain. Trader Joe, all these utilities. And then they start putting more on in the bull market. Caspa's way ahead of the game. So when they were doing the KRC20 inscription, the actual narrative that was going on, besides the fact that the teams are about to do a bank run and sell all that Caspa you minted, which really just means traded or sold for Caspa, the real narrative there was the KRC20 Casplex team was saying to the investment banking class, since you're not getting as much high yield on bonds during your bond auctions, which we track like a hawk inside of our VIP, using these auctions, we could see, oh yeah, we're going to get downside right here. And guess what? We did it again right here. Inside our VIP, we were waiting. As I showed you from the Caspa projections, and we had these from like way back, like September 10th, because we're understanding this fundamental key. There was another set of auctions that took place right here from September 28th to October 3rd. And then once the auctions happen, guess what? It's diverting cash away from the market. This is something you can go to college for 8 years, spend hundreds of $1,000s on for 47 bucks. You can see all the trades and all the correlations that we put together. This is how we've been crushing it in part. It's really like a trifecta of skills, macroeconomics. So every time we do a trading plan, we link it to videos about technical analysis and videos about macroeconomics, making sure that it's way more educational. And we never do like instant, quick, buy it now. You've only got like an hour or two. We're always planning out months in advance, right around here. And then this, combining all our skills together. So back to what's going on. With the crescendo, this all ties into what we just talked about, because the Fed's going to finish slashing rates down, hopefully for us, in the first quarter of 2025. They might just take a couple points down in the next meeting and then do a few more. They might do like a trickle into 2025, which will be terrible. But hopefully for us, they'll just hack the rates down like. Like, that's going to be everybody in the trading world if the FOMC steps up and they bring the rates down to zero again. So this entire bubble of cash, they're planning on bringing it down to 3 right now. So the market's average that's in, kind of like a buy the rumor type of deal. If they're going to drop it all the way down to 0, that will be monstrously bullish. That's why the election is such a crucial date on the charts. After the election takes place, there could be a huge rally because different candidates have different policies about what this money is going to be used for. Obviously, the war machine wants to get their hand on this money too. It could go in many different directions. Yeah, you know, that's a really good concept of when you're actually trading your cash out, it's back into fiat, but the time window for it to actually completely lose its value isn't as fast acting as the crypto world. Once we cash out and make bank, we can start getting into and covering real estate investments. I owned restaurant chains. I built franchises, which is all what our managed learning system is around. You've got to be able to get the exact same results over and over again, which is these written systems. We cover every detail that you can think of, written down, just going over it. And here's the key. So let's say you're studying AI. You get in here and you run a search for AI projects. This is a great tool, by the way. Chain broker, or excuse me, crypto rank. So we go artificial intelligence, and now, yeah, so we have the #1 artificial intelligent pick across the market. That's my side bag. Okay, we got a full report on it. And if you're gonna put $5,000 or more into a project, getting just a friend, a peer group's opinion, great thing. We've got the Discord all honed down. So there's like a great hall for traders to chat and a couple side rooms if you guys want to share documents off and get away from the feed. Just boom. That's actually where I am instantly found out about the Grayscale listing, was in our chat room. So very helpful stuff. So when you're combing through these, you've got to think of tons of factors and let's look at Tau, because everybody understands Tau to a certain extent. We can see right there, Polychain Capital. This is a VC. This is huge because the VCs are connected without a doubt to the institutional level. They are the guys that are working hand in hand with the central banks. So there's this rumor going around the water cooler. They're like, oh man, if you invest into anything with VC, son, you're going to get wrecked. When in fact, that's a much older narrative. Now that crypto is becoming more center stage, the VCs can connect this directly to the bond market, which is something that we're looking for. Now, what do you mean connecting it to? Well, as we're digging around and researching our different factors, everybody who watched this video who didn't know anything about the bond markets or FOMC, from now on, when they turn on their television set or they start doing research, they're going to have an entirely new, different outlook. So light bulbs are going off for people right now. This is a breadcrumb trail into VIP. Like, let's say you're making great gains. You're like a fighter who's winning tons of fights. Going to see a coach, it's often just spinning your wrist a bit, or having your elbow up higher. That will change the difference between you winning all your fights and becoming champion to you being a show-stopping knockout artist, like we have shown over and over again. After the Bank of Japan carry trade, we got into a special project called Fire that's based out of Japan. Just instantly rocking. So this is the #1 pick. And we just showed you the picks that we just came up with. And this is happening over and over again. We're like always coming up with the best trades. Part of this secret is the utilization of artificial intelligence correctly. With this 24-point system, it comes with 84 questions to get you started. All right, lazy people are going to go with a huge bag of meme coins. But if you want to put the effort in, and I'm going to tell you right now before you jump into VIP, that it's going to take hours to fully soak in all the tools and secrets that we have in here. Just reading the reports on the artificial intelligent projects that are listed now, they're like 10 pages each plus links. This is like a 40-hour task. So you've got a full-time job. You can do 4 hours a night. This is going to take you weeks to choke down. And then we've got all the technical analysis stuff too that we'll get into in the end, which is next level phenomenon. I've been getting information directly from the KII, and they told me that one of the Caspa team members joined our VIP group to check out the managed learning systems and the standard operating procedures, including the repeating trendline system, which is next level. Because cryptos have a halving and an emission schedule, the trend lines repeat over and over again. This doesn't happen in stocks, and it's an unpublished phenomenon that we're breaking ground on right now. Other people have found this too. There's other people in the internet that are saying, check out these repeating trend lines. It's out there. What do I mean repeating trend lines? Let's talk about this right now. So this is totally Twilight Zone level, and this is going to go beyond Caspa. Starting way back here, way back, this is the first y-axis. Y-axis is support, time frame. X-axis is resistance. A lot of times, just speaking about the two axes in general, buy it. Mining is an entire new onslaught. I'm going to touch base on that question in a second. Buy it. And I'll tell you why. So we're back here. When the April breakout was happening, Kaspa's on everybody's radar who was trading at the time. I know a lot of you guys are just showing up right now, and you're still ahead of the curve. Once the bull market starts, it's going to completely change everything. And we'll do another video on that later. So we find this trend line. This is our first strong trend line. So we're thinking this will be our repeating trend line, caused by the emission and halving schedules. They create a ripple in every crypto. On Bitcoin, it's every 4 years. But when you zoom in on that, that exact phenomenon is taking place on every window. And I'm going to show you the basics of this right now. This is a breadcrumb trail into VIP where I can give you all the context that you need and then trading plans using it to make these like mind-blowing call outs. We beat everybody, even Galaxy, with his meme coin picks, taking his best of the best picks. We beat him with just the picks that we just picked. Anyway, y-axis. And I mentioned Galaxy because he created a system, which I respect. And he's a Caspa OG. He created a system for meme coins. So that's cool. That's what you want to do, write things down. You can't do it off the top of your head. So we got the y-axis. So after the April breakout happens, we're trying to catch this in a support. And we start noticing there's potential support here. And this was Caspa's first symmetrical triangle. For everyone who's been observing the Caspa chart, the symmetrical triangle is hands down the most common of every single Caspa chart. Inside our pattern directory, where we apply the classical patterns like cup and handle, rising wedge to the origin trendline system to give extra insight. Example, these are two origin trend lines meeting. The symmetrical triangle is like a 50-50. It could break either direction. If one of these lines is not of repeating trendline strength, it completely alters the dynamic, and you don't even need to know the stats for the trend line because the dominant trend line that's going to dictate price is going to be of origin strength. Good timing on asking that question. So we see here there's this first symmetrical triangle, and everything's really bearish because right here, the FOMC raises rates. So everybody who watched the beginning of the video, that means that they're working with their friends at the poker table saying, yo, right, we're going to raise. They're saying, we're going to pay you more money to put your cash inside of the bonds. And of course, what does the investment banking class do? They don't just dabble into that signal. They go all out. And this happened right here. Altcoin Daily, everybody got this wrong, which is why we knew we did a good idea opening the YouTube channel right here. Right on May 3rd, this is the FOMC meeting. After that Friday, downside. Right here, Jane Street sold their entire legacy crypto bag on either Robinhood or Webull, one of those things. So massive dumpster fire. And we had shorted AVAX right there. So we were like, yeah, we were winning while everybody was losing, which is also mind state. We were in the good mind state. And what do we observe is going on? Let me show you this other chart. We observe while there's a bloodbath in altcoins, this is that same timeline from June 1st, and then here's the FOMC meeting. Caspa's going sideways and upwards. So we recognize instantly, if this is happening in the altcoin market and these guys playing poker against us, the central bank and the investment banking class, they just hoodwinked each other into this, but Caspa's going up. Something's a funk at the Circle K. We know somebody important's buying this. We know this is something's going on here. It's got a direct correlation to the bond market now, just off that. So we back the truck up and we go all in on Caspa right down here. We find out later Marathon Digital's actually getting ready to start mining Caspa on September 1st or something along those lines. Therefore, we can instantly correlate it to these people directly as they got their own 24-point reports on Caspa. Jumping back to the technical analysis. So that was the fundamental side of it, because we never want to do a naked charting read using just technical analysis. Kind of is goofy. You got to always pair it with fundamentals. And that's what we're going to do for you right now, Jimmy. So we're looking for this y-axis, and it actually does a symmetrical triangle, and it breaks to the downside, which goes with the fundamentals. Symmetrical triangles are 50-50. They'll go with the market sentiment. So it's breaking downwards on the news, and then it starts finding support right here. So we've cloned the trend line. It's finding support. We're like, yes, this is great. And just taking this one step farther, you can actually put angled Fibonacci pitches. Did you guys see how I grabbed that tool? It's over here, second notch down, third one. It's called the Fib channel. And you can set these up. This would look better on the 1 hour chart, but you get the drift of it. Ultimately, like the golden pocket, massive resistance. Once we enter the gray zone, we get a breakout, pullback, a touch off. The blue zone, massive pullback. Red zone breaks up, comes back, touches off of it. The handle of the cup is this area right here. So angled Fibonacci pitches help a lot. And what we eventually did was we placed one along the bottom of this y-axis, and this is going to get directly into your price prediction like this. You can rewind and watch our old videos. We have this exact setup up to help us correlate. Oh, we're losing the golden pocket all throughout this really detailed window type of stuff. Look what happens later. This Fibonacci pitch that we lined up because of the most contact points. This is just basic charting 101. You can find the strongest trend lines by counting the contact points and then how many times it repeats. Look what happens in the breakout. Goes right up to the top, and we are using this exact same trend line from the initial y-axis all the way on the top. This is the repeating trendline system. This is on every crypto. I'll go over and do this on Tau. I'll do it on Solana, Ethereum, and I will know what's going on. For leverage trading or just buying cold storage like you want to know, this is it. This is it. So the y-axis is going to come into play because there's the x-axis, which is the downtrending, and it repeats over and over again. This is the first one. You clone it, it's here. You clone it, it's here. This is another reason why we have to have a VIP, because I can spend 4 hours talking about charting the breakouts, the gravitational field, the Wyckoff method. Basically, this gray line represents how we're going to signal the breakout. The farthest distance the candle was traveling away from this gravitational field in gold, that measures sort of a Wyckoff augmentation breakout. That's the gravitational field. And we measure this using those sideways Fibonacci pitches. You'll find once you set it up, it's just like it was back there. You'll get a clear measurement tool using angled fibs. So we've got this golden one here. During this last downtrend, because we're about to get the price action right now, inside VIP, we purchased at 11.5 and under, and then we leveraged trade long with 10x here at 12.25, and then we added on or did a latecomer one at 13.3 with 7x. All of those were so low that they survived the BOJ carry trade, which we saw coming inside the head and shoulders pattern directory anyway. We recognize, because that's an FOMC meeting. That's one of our other secrets. Use FOMC meetings. That's what gets the market going. Anyway, we got to stay on task here. So using your y-axis support line, we had the gravitational field already set up. So you can see this is after the bounce. We knew it was going to go down even before the bounce. And we knew off of where. And I can show you that here. So we've got a bunch of these, even a week or two earlier than this, when we're down here, knowing we're going to bounce off of this x-axis channel. This is KRC20, and we're combining it with fundamentals. This isn't just TA. The artificial intelligence told us this. As soon as these meme coins go live, the coders who built it are not investors. They're going to cash out instantly. They're going to do a bank run on Caspa. So all the volume of KRC20 meme coins, minting is an elusive word. It means you sold it. They just did a bank run on us, and we knew this was going to happen the whole time, planning it out in advance. Plus the whole economics that we covered. So, and we were just looking at a price prediction for October. This is the really space age crazy thing. Okay, look at this one. October 4th, 13.8. So on October 7th exactly, it might have been 8th, the price was directly on 13.8. And we predicted this. Look at where we predicted it from. We're talking way back here. Putting all the puzzle pieces together, we know we're going to be exactly here. Guess where we were? Within 72 hours. Exactly there. How did we do that? And this is exactly how we're going to know when to buy and everything like that. By using the repeating trendline system in combination with fundamental analysis, because we have a massive apex. Because these trend lines are the guiding forces of the candle, when they meet at an intersection, you have an increased probability that the candle's going to make contact. Even if it doesn't, it's going to be headed in that direction in the most obscure circumstances. But we get direct contact with it off the BOJ carry trade and this wick here, this y-axis. So what we're looking at here is this. The original, not the original, but the cup and handle one. This is a support line. This is the last hurrah. So price is starting to push away from the x-axis right now because it's not going to go any lower than this. The buck will stop here. This is it. Will we get to fill at 12.5? Probably not. See this double bottom? That's another bullish pattern. The double bottom is showing the sellers are losing control and the buyers are starting to get more aggressive. Fundamentally, it's a clear double bottom because the KRC20 meme coins are done. Maybe we should put a message out there on social media saying, stop minting Caspa meme coins, right? Buy somebody else's. That'll help stop the selling. Either way, it's irrelevant. The selling's massively over now, and this is going to start to catch up, and we can see more dates. Let's use this line again, which gave us that October 4th thing. November 5th. We're getting approximately, that's exactly when the next FOMC meeting is. That's exactly when the presidential election is. We're meeting the gravitational field. So this is when we're going to start looking at, when we cross this line, into doing leverage trades. That's when the real meaty breakout is going on. Right now, it's going to be sideways and chop, restricted by the y-axis until we get out there. And we're covering this in detail, and we can go a step farther, ensuring that we get these super swing low prices, and we do that inside VIP all the time. I'll show you something really cool, how accurate these are. We had been waiting for back here for a breakout, and exactly when Caspa crossed this line, we knew load up on like high leverage trades, which we closed out later because of the head and shoulder pattern. But these lines are, these are it, man. This is awesome stuff. Overpowering. You got to get your hands on the VIP because I can take this way farther. Remember the entire Dunning-Kruger effect. I've showed everybody this now, and everybody's going to be like, I got it. Thanks, man. I'm telling you, this is like teaching somebody a couple moves enough for them to get in a fight. And then you're going to get into a fight with a guy who knows jujitsu, which is who we're playing against here, and they can tie you up in all kinds of ways. So check out the VIP, and we'll get more application into that. Yeah, along with the gem hunting and everything. Yeah, you know, social media is a crazy place. And oh yeah, that reminds me, everybody, we got to hit subscribe. We got to hit thumbs up. We got to get this type of content out there. We have been the leading, most profitable channel this entire time, coming up with new information, more stuff that we're dropping to everybody, helping them out. And then of course, in VIP, we're totally helping people get a master class in trading. So to see these young guys and they get an enormous following, and we felt it was our personal responsibility to start. We did a content review of a bunch of guys because they're terrible. 400 days ago, they were all pig piling into GameFi, and it was a massive rug pull. And the thing was, they had confirmation bias. All of them were getting together going, yes, Lit Labs, hello Labs, we must get this. And I did videos and I was like, dude, we're about to get wrecked on these. Detailing it out. And you know what happened? The internet, they were like, no. No. It was like my most unliked video ever. So, yeah. And those are fair weather friends. Yes, and remember, you guys, exactly right, because the market is built on losers. That's what it's all about. And we're seeing and witnessing inexperienced traders going about their business, what's going on through their mindset, and they are on social media doing it. And they're missing out on bigger picture fundamental factors and all of the details underneath. Of course, once Caspa starts rocketing back up again, I'll bet that those guys will start jumping right back on the bandwagon. The original guy who needed to get shut down was Sepril, and the community did a great job at disconnecting from him. He's now in his meme coin niche, teaching people what JPEGs to buy. And I don't know if he's even hitting any of those, but yeah, that guy was He never proved himself. He was Archie's friends. He got an automatic handout from living in Dubai with Archie. In my opinion, at least, we can't confirm or deny this. So all of a sudden, Seprol is now this game-changing breakthrough guy. And I was cranking out the best Caspa content, doing deep dive research into stablecoins, everything like that. I didn't even have a VIP because I was still trying to prove myself to everybody, just being like, dude, I can wreck. I'm the man, right? Not only everybody bought Caspa at the low, I was the first guy to go all in on Caspa, period. Galaxy bought a 30% bag way before I did. Caspa Silver was also all in, who knows when. I was the first trader that recognized to go all in. This is part of portfolio management. And then here's the coup d'etat. I actually had a $1 million Caspa leverage trade right here, and I got wicked out because I was being a fool and I set a stop loss. Anyway, we did a 10x Caspa leverage trade right here. Guess what happened? The FOMC meeting. And we just told everybody, you can go back to November 2nd. It's on the main channel. We used to record off of a cell phone. The audio's terrible. Video's terrible. Editing hacked up. And we were like, this is it. We got to go 10x right now. It's about to rocket. 72 hours later, boing, and it went all the way to the top of our y-axis. So huge upside. And we can actually use these repeating trendline systems on every project. Like the Total 3, which has these repeating falling wedge patterns. Uphold. You got to get your Caspa on Uphold, and you can inside the United States. It's very easy. They can take your cash right out of the bank, so you don't even need to buy USTD. Yeah, you want to go for Uphold. Yes, after the rate cuts is key. And these guys know everything that we went over in the certain part of this video when we were breaking down FOMC data. They know this to the point of they have doctors who went to Harvard for economics. We're looking at the tip of the iceberg here. We can actually break down AAA high yield bonds. There's a ton of things that play into factor. The people that you surround yourself with make up who you're going to become. This can't be anything closer to the truth. I can tell you from firsthand experience. Vegas, wild place. Used to play professional poker all the time, kind of enjoying an early retirement of a bit. Once I moved into this tower filled with millionaire, super successful people, it kind of rubbed off on me, and I started focusing way more into my day trading of stocks. A lot of people are like, yeah, I'm coming over from, I was in the crypto stuff last year. I'm coming over directly from the stock market. And I'll show you guys another time my GameFi or my GameStop picks. I was in the GameStop trade. I used to chat with Roaring Kitty. I pull up on screen all the time, purchasing GameStop. And a lot of that because GameStop peaked almost directly with Bitcoin on February 20th has everything to do with the bond market. We're looking at the FOMC data. So the people that you have around you, the 5 people that you hang out with the most, influence you without a doubt. So everybody's got their friends from old school, especially if you came up in a small town environment. You've got those friends around you, even if they're just like a hardworking guy who's saving their money and having a family. These guys are all about barbecues and ball games, and that's not you. You want something more. You want to go all out. You want to be all you can be. That's what we've got inside of our VIP group. We've got the Discord chat so everybody can hang out, bounce ideas off, you know, have some social element to it, because everybody's got a vent. And you're rubbing shoulders with other successful people who are on the correct path, who are using this FOMC data, who are doing research with artificial intelligence, putting together fundamental models. This is what the FOMC is released. This is their ultimate game plan, recently updated. Full screen. Zoom in. We can see at the bottom, they're planning on taking a full point off and then holding rates down. This is 2025, 2026, 2027, and beyond. This is going to prolong the bull run. And the fact that the FOMC is late on rate cuts, everybody's been going around on the internet. I've done this myself. And they're saying, oh, well, it's every 500 days. It's every 500 days after the halving. That's when Bitcoin peaks, and that could not be farther from the truth. So for just to show on GameStop, and we can go over this and look at the NASDAQ chart, which is what I was just trying to bring up. Look at this. GameStop, January 28th, 2021, 1 year after the Fed does the time delay trigger of hacking rates down 1.5%. Guess what happens 20 days later? Bitcoin peaks. Total 3 gets their massive injection. And this shows how altcoins take longer to grow. The reason why we're looking at XRP here, Caspa stepping out for ISO compliance. So they're going to be the #1 bank-to-bank transferring utility. Grayscale handles some XRP. They are dealing with custody. Some of these large corporations don't want to go to all the trouble to have self-custody on their Caspa. And as soon as Grayscale starts offering it, it offers enormous price upside. What the KII is doing is completely game-changing. They're building something that's going to destroy XRP, compete head-to-head with them, dethrone them. It's faster. It has more throughput computational power. They're building all of this. They're building it all right now for these bank-to-bank transfers. And that's going to eat XRP's lunch. Why? Because the DII is hooked into everything. You pair that with the tokenization of carbon credits. So all these companies that are being climate compliant, this was one of the other bullish factors for Caspa going through the back of my mind when we purchased. Knowing that the ASICs already, not even calculating in optic mining, just blog DAG in general, it's the most environmentally friendly ASIC. Knowing Marathon Digital, the stock, had always gotten into a lot of trouble from their Bitcoin mining with carbon credit systems and climate systems. Every time you wake up in the morning to day trade stocks, you see the news articles paralleling with the biggest movers. The #1 narrative is climate and carbon credits. That's what moves the markets. Guess what Caspa's doing with the KII? They are doing exactly that. And this is our shoe-in. It's the best possible scenario we could have unfolding. The carbon credit market's $400 billion. As of right now, holistic coding, we're waiting on the Fed. Here's the two scenarios, because we've got a lot of the information in right now, but there's more coming. One, the Fed steps up the first quarter of 2025, and they absolutely hack rates down. They're planning on doing a full point. They just whack it out right away, like 250s back to back, or even just, we're just going to do a full point right now. The data starts coming in, the jobs market's weak, and there are lingering job studies. Getting back to this. So in VIP, we've been breaking down every FOMC meeting together. For $47, the massive problem with VIP is I have completely priced it wrong. I mean, I'm giving this away for the amount of value that it has. From the fundamental research to the technical analysis, the macroeconomics, the one-on-one portfolio coaching. And of course, the group is growing at exponential rates as people are fleeing from, newbies get sucked into those meme coin trading groups like Archetype and those guys, Sepral, and they find real value. And then they're like, yo, I can learn a lot. Look at Jesse's picks. They're all gone completely Twilight Zone. The one difference is you're going to have to do some work. So before you even get into this, just recognize it's reading. This is one report on DEAI, and it doesn't even include links. And you're talking about 10 pages here. And then links to articles. And then you can go through and do your own questionnaire after it. It's a week's work per project. But this is how you're going to become a mastermind in crypto. So I suggest focusing on niches. Different niches, and this is part of answering your question, will have different price activity correlating with the bond market. Bitcoin being the thing that has the strongest run up first. It's a store of value, and there's nothing built on top of it. The rest of projects are depending on the AVAXs, the phantoms. They need that cash injection, and then they can start to grow. This is the altcoin chart. The bull run will keep going, to give you a rule of thumb, because everybody wants that, until the Fed starts raising rates. Once they start raising rates, the party's over. But there's more information to come. We want them to just hack it all down immediately, and they could do this in 2025. Their secondary option is they kind of cut as they go throughout 2025. 25 here, 25 there, and they just keep cutting as the rally gets going. And that slow drip will eventually create the bond market. So what we do, not every FOMC meeting is going to be bullish. Inside VIP, we're always trading it, and we're tuning in with these type of numbers. Unemployment rate. This is what the Fed's watching. CPE. And then you can break down unemployment and get into wage growth and how to really factor these together. So you can actually start watching financial TV and you'll know what they're talking about. And even more important, applying that to making profitable trading, which is what we're here to do. But it takes work. The key factors with Gigawatt are it's a permissionless stablecoin that will be backed with, instead of the petrodollar, and this is how huge it is. As you've probably heard on the news, the BRICS nation is already starting to move away from petro-backed dollar. BRICS is like, yeah, we're pretty much done with the USA. We're going to start de-dollarizing everything that we've got. And of course, as they're doing that, They're moving towards blockchain. That's exactly what's going to take its place. And it's hard to believe because it's a storybook setup. It's Caspa that's on the front line. The BRICS nation, they all came together because they're the energy producers of the world. Side rant, as soon as the conflict with Russia started, Nord Stream 2 pipeline exploded. What Russia did with that excess energy was they went to their neighbors in China, bought more Bitcoin miners than any other country in the world, started becoming the second largest producer of Bitcoin only to the US with that extra energy. So instead of selling the gas to Europe, they're using it to power their Bitcoin army. Inside BlackRock's ETF, they put a clause on page 138 of the filing that states BlackRock at any time can create a hard fork to Bitcoin. This is huge. And some of the Bitcoin OGs covered this. Like, there's no way they can pull it off. It won't work. Thus making real Bitcoin something that nerds in the basement have. And then the world's value of Bitcoin will be transferred into BlackRock's control, thus removing its value away from Russia and some of their enemies. And this is the front lines of crypto right now. As you guys have heard, certain politicians and different governments in the world, they're always trying to stop crypto. They're like, oh yeah, crypto's really bad. That can be how terrorists are getting their hands on flashlights and everything like that. They're really just trying to keep everybody in control, just like when they made the GameStop movie, they never talked about the bonds. They only talk about the short. With Bitcoin halving, they only talk about the halving. They never talk about the connections to the monetary system because they're trying to keep everybody in the dark. They're going to back Gigawatt coin with the power grids in the Middle East. So these guys that own oil fields, solar, everybody who does the oil mining, these are the exact same guys that are doing green energy. They're taking all that cash and they're running it parallel together, realizing eventually in 100 years, they're going to run out of oil. And they're coming up with this new thing called green hydrogen that works in a lab where they split a water molecule. And that becomes energy. This requires scalability, pipelines, facilities, everything. These guys are on the front lines. So Gigawatt is going to be backed directly with real world assets. So it's a stable coin and an RWA at the exact same time. It also has a massive connection to the carbon credit market. Here's a document I'll put in the chat. The tokenization of carbon credits. This actually came out before Caspa was even in the spotlight. This might have been actually simultaneously right around when Caspa was released. The carbon credit market is in the blueprint for Gigawatt. And I've been communicating with the KII. They're doing a huge show in Vienna. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, with the institutional investment banking class, and they're going to get their hands on the Gigawatt white paper first. Then we're going to get our hands on the Gigawatt white paper inside our VIP. And I reached out to Galaxy and I kind of nudged him. I was like, yo, you should hit up the KII and you can get your hands on this Gigawatt white paper and do some content on it as well. Because Galaxy and I were the OGs covering Caspa since the way back. So we kind of had that camaraderie. We might even get to do a live interview with the KII. You guys have heard of Sin City Studios? They have this awesome, like fully professional television studios. And I was fortunate enough to have contacts with them, and I hired them to build a live studio in my condo for me to do these streams, but their studio can be rented out. So we might get to have the KII in a live stream interview in November, which will be a banger. Carbon credit market will be directly correlated with it. Now, here's the thing. The US dollar system right now, from a climate standpoint, it's got a carbon score. That's bad because it's all around petro. As they're able to tokenize the entire climate enforcement, and you know who's behind all of this, right? It's BlackRock. For those of us who have been reading and have maybe some more experience level with stocks, you already know that BlackRock is using the climate credit score to do whatever they want. They're even bullying the farmers around over in Europe. They're saying, oh yeah, you guys can't have cows. You're going to have to eat the bugs. This whole thing is all being run and orchestrated by this. The digital IDs, the privatization of dollar. We're on the cutting edge of it all. And Caspa is actually on the inside track fighting the good fight. They're going to have a carbon neutral, even a carbon negative stablecoin because of the carbon credit system, the tokenization of carbon credits. Therefore, with Gigawatt coin, right now, huge corporations is becoming more and more popular to keep Tether stablecoins on the books, obviously for cross-border payments. They can facilitate it so as long as you're keeping gigawatts on your books, this can affect your climate score. You see where this is going? So people will be incentivized into using Gigawatt. And who's that going to benefit? Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, they set this thing up, man, from head to toe. The battle's already, it's over. Caspa's going to rocket into the top 10, and then it's going to start picking off Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's going down. The biggest narrative is this whole climate is the Gigawatt and the Warp Core. Warp Core and Gigawatt together. Just going to overpower everything. So there's a lot going on with Gigawatt. And like I said, I'm in contact with the KII, fortunately, and we'll be having more information as it's released to the public. So somebody was asking about conflicts. Right now, as this bubble and the global liquidity cycle, remember from the earlier in the video, we talked about this bubble is getting ready to go bust. And so everybody's jockeying in position to get ready to take it. You guys have probably seen very odd Mark Zuckerberg as well as Musk have taken the front line on a political stance. And the reason is the VP candidate for one of the sides has connections to Silicon Valley. He was under the tutelage of Peter Thiel. Therefore, Silicon Valley is posturing to have this bubble through policy head more in their direction as it starts to deflate. There's the war machine, which would also like to get its hand on this bubble, Ukraine and everything like that. They would like for this to go towards aircraft carriers, things like that. It's all about this bubble. And I've been hearing a lot of chat on social media about, oh, well, the Caspa team members shouldn't be making comments and stuff. Keep in mind, for one, locally, Elon Musk, when they say, what are you doing, Elon Musk? Like, don't you realize that the other side could win? And this could be bad for you. And what he says is, I create the best product for the best price. I can say whatever I want. This is exactly what the Caspa team is saying. They're like, guess what? Yeah, try to make Caspa. They're almost like the world champion. Remember when Mike Tyson would get up and just talk completely crazy to people? I mean, it's along those lines, but more relatively, the movie Oppenheimer, about the mad scientist genius who helped facilitate the Manhattan Project and everything. When you get these high-level genius guys, the Elon Musks, the Oppenheimers, the Shays from Caspa, it comes with the territory. These guys, their minds are on a different level. They can solve problems and think like we can't. And it comes with the package. And the power players who really matter, they already recognize this. The face of Caspa is much more relative to the KII, in my opinion, than the Caspa team. They just built a commodity. The business is these guys. And the cornerstone, this guy's like Warren Buffett, you guys. This dude right here, you don't even know how much of a baller this guy is. He invented the energy trading sector. So he's like the Satoshi of his own universe. And for so long, he's been dreaming of a method that they can, for one, administrate more of these climate control options. He's been dreaming of Gigawatt, and Warp Core comes along with it. And now he has it. This is the face of Caspa, that guy. And his sidekick, who is Cornelius Mateus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm terrible with names. He's the CEO of DII. It's this guy and the DII guy. They're the guys. Marathon Digital's doing tons of mining all around there right now. Yes, a big narrative is these Caspa smart contracts. And of course, they'll be released when it's optimal for broader market conditions. Seeing this and knowing this as an experienced trader, obviously, why would Caspa want to release the 10 BPS Crescendo right now? If I could place a bet, I would say that Michael Setton and the boys have already got that done, and they're just stalling. That's my opinion. Of course, we can't confirm or verify that. They're just kind of running the clock out, if you will, until the market conditions are ready. This is a major factor. This is all part of Satoshi's vision, and now Caspa's really stepping in to take over for it. Getting in touch and correlating yourself with the Caspa chart now can open immense opportunities as this bullies its way to the top of the cryptocurrency world. Being a Caspa expert is something that you want to do. Every night when I go to sleep, I draw the Caspa chart in my head multiple times. And I do it when I wake up in the morning. Just draw the chart in your head, just in touch with it, just like a chess player. There is nobody that's been even trading better than us as abroad, but particularly Caspa. You guys want to learn how to chart Caspa and go with its moves? This is the spot, hands down. I mean, nobody else would even dare challenge me at this point. After correctly calling exactly where this would stop and exactly where it was headed, to the day, to the dollar. Of course, what does AI do? It predicts the next character. So it's kind of seeing over the horizon. And we've been using AI to train ourselves, to build our models. So AI is really important. You're already eating the bugs. Oh, you're a vegan. Oh, well, congratulations. Yes. Yes, plants and dieting, and it's tough to get that stuff at a grocery store. If you can get access to a farmer market in Vegas, it's difficult, but there are farmers markets where you can go and get stuff. You can grow your own indefinitely. Always be ready and be a prepper. You guys remember that union strike at the docks? That could have been a total national disaster, and just having some storable food and some water would put you immediately ahead of the curve. Jimmy, conservative price prediction top. Time frame Q1 2026. Do you agree with me that Caspa will not have an 80 to 90% pullback with the altcoins in the bear market? Thank you. Yes, I agree. Hands down, there won't be that significant of a pullback on Caspa. As we can see, just to throw some figures and numbers out there, let's look at some of the other leading coins that reputable Caspa community members have been doing that aren't memes. Tau. I'm tempted to show another repeating trend line theory, but we're going to stay on task. See, we actually posted this on the 19th. This is insane. We posted it directly as it was bouncing off the, right here, bounces off the golden pocket, comes up, finds this, finds all of these, and now it's back up here. And all that is a direct clone of the prior one, which when you zoom in, look at these downward price channels. That's the repeating trendline system on a new chart. For everybody who's been with the video through the Caspa breakdown, this thing is next level, you guys. And so we were able to predict that Tau would jump all the way up to the blue zone. Which it is. It's in the blue zone now. And then this would be where its downside is. Back to the question at hand. Looking at the pullback on Tau, that had a massive pullback, and so did Sui, which is another leading coin. Look at that massive pullback. Caspa didn't even lose a full 40% at 12.5. Still holding down. So in order to do this correctly, we're going to bring up some other charts, some other links. Okay. What this is showing here is the previous all-time highs for everything. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, the whole shebang. Bitcoin is at $1 trillion. This up-and-coming cycle from using technical analysis or just fundamentals, we got to come up with a number, and we're going with 150,000. So this entire price prediction model is based on 150,000. That's $3 trillion. Now, because there's a Bitcoin ETF, it may slightly askew these next numbers we're coming up with, which is a percentage of Bitcoin's market cap that these altcoins capture. Starting with Ripple, XRP, which Caspa is going direct head competition with through their ISO 220 compliance. They can now do bank-to-bank transfers. Once they correlate this with the energy system, they can put XRP out of business. They can eat their lunch. They did 12%. BNB did 10%. Solana, Dogecoin, Polkadot, they did 5 to 7. And then the low runners, Litecoin and Matic, they did 2. So our question is out of 300 trillion, how much will Caspa get? So let's say that they get 10%, which would be a huge helping. And a lot of this has to do with how fast the team can come down through the line. And also, we have to factor in what the Fed's going to do. We don't even know at this point how big the bull market's going to get. Let's say in the perfect storm, all of a sudden this jobs data starts coming in bad. the Fed's going to step up in 2021 quarter one and overly hack down rates. But as of right now, they're planning on lowering the Fed fund rate and holding it down there for a while, which looks like, you know, this dipping down and then running to the side, right at around under 3%, 2.8, 2.75. And they hold it there, and it looks like they're planning on cutting less, but holding it out for longer, which plays into a whole dynamic of how long this bull run is going to last. Looking at the total three, here's a great example of a blow off top. Part of this had to do with the popularity of crypto, but we can also see this on Bitcoin, and it's undoubtedly influenced by the bond cycle because they didn't allow for a distribution phase. They actually just started raising rates on the bonds, and this caused the blow off top. There was no distribution, just a run up, and that's over. So you want the most bearish, let's say this. Come at the end of 2025, let's say quarter one, 2026, the Fed all of a sudden is going, oh, we need to start cutting rates now. That's a dead sign that it's over. Party's over. Cash out and run. Okay? And this obviously can be detailed extravagantly. Like, we can actually chase down the bond auctions, count the money, see exactly when it's going to go down like we did here and twice in VIP. August 26th is exactly when this peak took place. And then the next one we pulled up the bond auctions for, and it was September 28th to October 3rd. So we've got to get the largest amount of 300 trillion that we can. And it all depends on what the Fed does. That's something that you've got to factor in to your whole mindset here, and you got to keep your eye on. So let's say we're getting 300, and the worst case scenario, we end up just getting, we'll say 2.5%. That's like 75 billion. So that would be equivalent to Dogecoin. All-time high, last cycle. 3. You see how we did this? And it's all coming down to this FOMC data. We've got to really keep our eye on it. Now, in the best case scenario, they really cut rates strong. One of the candidates is promising 0 interest rates. They can even get these into negative. So let's go over the best case scenario, and then we'll get a happy range of what's actually going to happen. So we just went over the worst case. There's going to be a blow off top, and we're just going to get a portion of it. Bitcoin gets up to 150,000. Everything ends early. We get 2% of 150,000 Bitcoin. We're right around Doge. Best case scenario, they hack the rates all the way down to 0, and they do it fast. There can be some bad jobs data, anything goes on. Even if they bring it down to anything under 2%, that's just as good. 0 is pretty extreme, but if you do 1.8, that's just as good as 0. And then they hold it down there for 18 months. What that's going to do in complementation of the popularity of crypto is that's going to create a larger distribution channel, which is what we're seeing right here. Yeah, this was the super peak. This was the run up, that February 20th date. That's 20 days away from when Tesla formed its first peak. That's 20 days away from the GameStop phenomenon. That's when Bitcoin reached 60,000 last cycle. That's 1 year after the Fed drastically cut rates. That's why we're always saying it will help us out so much, and everybody will be in a cheers of uproar as if the Fed will make drastic moves and just cut rates really hard. That'll be good for us. It'll be easier to trade and more bullish. And if they do that, and then hold it down for 18 months, we'll get this big distribution channel, which will just help growing on chain and complementing the popularity of crypto. It'll just be going huge. And the party's not over until the Fed starts pulling the money back. And they're already planning on holding the party for a while. This is going to be till the break of dawn as of right now. Of course, things are going to change because they have to mitigate inflation. We'll always be tracking these numbers in VIP as the bull run's going on. What's going on with core inflation? Looking at the consumer pricing, how much our warehouse is paying for goods, shipping. There's like all these different ways that you can break this down. It's a whole skill set. You need to know enough of it to watch the news and look at this and understand what's going on. You can go to college for it if you want to. Then we start getting into some big numbers because remember, the Fed's also printing money. And so the longer the KII has to build on chain to start creating the tokenization of carbon credits, to start putting climate change and energy trading on the Caspa, the Gigawatt coin, the XRP competitor Warp Core. Now we're getting into the top here. 10%, right? %2 was 60. So let's say they get 7%, that'll be 200. So double XRP would be 7%. That'd be performing like Solana did in the last market in this market with the amount of money that's out there and the size of crypto. This is a handy calculator. The market cap of just crunches all the numbers for us. Solana at all-time high was the market cap of 70, 7% of 3 trillion. So tripling that is, yeah, now's when we start getting into these huge price predictions, the $9, stuff like that. That's why people are going around saying, oh, Caspa can get to 10 realistically. This is the equation that's showing it. What's missing from the equation is what's happening at the FOMC. That's crucial. So in order to hit these type of numbers, we have to get a lot of rate cuts and they have to hold it down for a while, stimulating the on-chain growth. Now let's get into the average. What's probably going to happen? So the Fed's going to step up and they'll probably cut at least 50, maybe even 75 points right away in Q1. Let's say 50. And then they're going to dribble another 25 points in, continuously stimulating the run. This will help push everything up, but it's also going to delay the unlock. So instead of being able to time it with the 500 days, like everybody, we did a video disproving this a couple of days ago, actually pulling up the stock market, the QQQ, and showing how it was running parallel with Bitcoin. So there's no way it was the halving that was doing it. Not just this halving, but the last one. And actually, it's really the bond market and the FOMC that's driving it. And it's Satoshi's design to run the halving parallel with the rate cuts that's throwing everybody off. Because Satoshi built Bitcoin to absorb this bond cash. And that's what we actually want to pay attention to. And then they're going to hold it down until probably summer, fall. That's when the data will start becoming in from these warehouses. So they can hold the bull run down for at least a year. So it would start to end 2026. And once we calculate this and crunch it into these numbers, around $5, I think $5 is a good deal. And remember, it's dates that are going to be easier is a fair assumption. I think $5 is a fair assumption. It's the dates that we want to try charting. Everybody's constantly trying to do the price. Start thinking about when, and you're going to get a way more accurate prediction, okay? So now that you know the model, you know all the parts that are in it, instead of saying to yourself, what price is Caspa going to do? You will know with more accuracy when. You following me? Because of the rate cut calendars and everything like that. And then you put the whole package together and you'll find the top way better. But start thinking about when. And in order to get these bigger prices, we need the delayed bull run. And you can see tons of news pundits just talking about the stock market. They're like, yeah, Powell's late. He should have been cutting rates earlier. And this lines up with Satoshi's plans too. Yeah, and it's going to hold strong. And so always keep in mind, one, to wrap up this question, wait until the FOMC says,
Good question.
we're raising rates, and the data starts leaning towards that. That's when you know we're getting into trouble. When the data is starting to come out, and that can come around holiday season or whatever. There's like a bunch of tricks to do that. Once the FOMC says, yeah, we are raising rates, the party is over right then. That's it. Pull the ripcord no matter what. No matter what you got. That's what you got. So get out. That's their poker signal. So keep that in mind. And focus on when. And let it run as long as you can. And you'll see. As they're developing and growing. And the Fed will eventually cancel the party. As they do over and over again. Using this, you can do historic models and look back in time in the stock market and figure out what's going on. Yes, for you guys that have large bags of Caspa, keep in mind, as the value's going up during the bull market peak, how much are you going to be cashing out on one of those plastic cards? Do you want to separate it out now and get it onto multiple different tangems? Use code JesseAI. You save some cash, as well as you're automatically enrolled into the affiliate marketing, so you can get some for your friends and families, help them get into crypto, which they want to do, and they can buy Caspa right on Uphold. Yeah, that's what we're seeing using our technical analysis in combination with the fundamentals. Remember that it was actually, I'm going to change the battery. The whole reason that there was a massive catalyst on Caspa negatively is because the coders who built all the meme coins, they are not traders. They're coders. They probably don't even have a bag of Caspa at all. So to think that the KRC20 launch was going to be bullish was extremely not well put together by everybody who did it. And I remember, because we had these posts up in VIP like this, people thought I was nuts as Archie type. Like, dude, the reason why Archie type jumped ship, I mean, can you imagine, like, all of his videos I remember, and I was just like, dude, this kid's about to eat dirt on these call outs so bad. It was like every day he was like, we're up another cent. I just bought more Caspa. This is totally awesome. And I'm like, dude, you're walking right into it, man. But he's got to learn. And Those teams just took us for like a hoodwink bank run. Right there, as soon as it happened, that was it. They started selling. They don't even own crypto. They don't care about crypto. They're coders. They wanted a quick payout. They're done. This is the teams running away with all the money that we minted. Minting just means you sold it. You traded it for. It's gone. It's a very tricky word. They're not like holding that Caspa for you for later, and you can unlock it through your NFT. You got to get some other dude to buy it off you. Think about the amount of experience and knowledge it took to build meme coin chains versus Caspa, right? So obviously those guys sold immediately, and they're like, woohoo, great payday for them. I can see some people in the chat were like, yes, we got in on the meme coins and we did really good there. We did great. We did better with AI than any of the meme coins, which is pretty crazy when you really think about it. Considering how dynamic the meme coins are running, this is the 30-day best performers. Of course, so this is 10,000 projects. This is my side bag, my first side bag. I was 100% Caspa Maxi, and then I started just gobbling this up nonstop. And the trick here is, guys, remember, managed learning systems, there's Turbo, didn't do as good. Standard operating procedures, connected to the FOMC, AI can see into the future. That's what it's programmed to do, use AI. It predicts the next character in a sentence. That's a lot of power to put in the hands of a human. And then there's multiple picks like Moonwell, Chlore AI that are on our lists. And then when we get to even the next page in the top 200, oh, remember this one? We put this one on the cover of one of our last videos a couple weeks ago. Just hammering the awesomest picks. So great system, great group, super friendly price, and we're getting ready for some massive dynamics in the market, the FOMC meeting, as well as the election, and that's going to significantly influence policy around this cash. And remember, Caspa, getting ready to rock it. We kind of went over the charting here. We're doing more details of that inside VIP. We will leverage trade Caspa, and it will be the most amazing trade across the market, just like this was the #1 best trade. And we've got all the top trades previously. This is why we don't really diversify. Diversify, according to Mark Cuban, is a hedge against your own stupidity. Take the time. If you guys are doing meme coins constantly, take the time to learn AI. You buy these reports, and it's like a study guide, and you've already got your homework done for you. So you learn these, you read these, and then use the tools to do your own research, do your own gem hunting, verify your own picks. It's great stuff because it's working and it's repeatable. My background is, before I became a poker player, I was building franchises, taking burger joints and making them repeatable. You have to have a checklist, a system. You have to do the same exact thing every single time, every single day. From handling the till to the ovens to your interactions with the customer. It's all the same. And then we've recreated a franchisable system. So the results that I'm getting and everybody in VIP's getting, you get your hands on. This is also a trading journal. For those of you who have a trading journal or don't, now you've instantly got a 50, 100-page trading journal, right? With all of our old call outs and stuff. So you can look back, especially with these gravitational fields and stuff. And with that crazy Tau chart that we showed. This falling wedge, we've got all the data on that, all the old falling wedge charts that just took place. It's a great group. And it's way more than just copy trading. So, We're all super pumped for Caspa, and it was great, in my opinion, to see some of the fair weather friends jump ship, because just wait until the 10 BPS launch happens and the rate cut cycle's over. We'll see what's going on with Caspa then. All right, guys, thanks for checking out this video. We will catch you on the next one.